Hey everybody, welcome back. We're gonna do things a little bit different now, just to pass the time. There's a lot of snow outside, no ice yet to go ice fishing, so figured let's try to keep ourselves productive. The boat is gone, as you know, but it's not all gone. I did keep the piece of shit outboard here. As you've seen in the last videos there, this thing's been giving me issues all year. Barely runs, but I figured keep it, and gives me something to pull apart. If I get it all cleaned up good, get it working, then great. If not, scrap it and figure out what to do next. But it'll be worth the fun. Let's see what I could get into. I am gonna try to figure out sanding and painting. See if maybe I could get that going. I do also want to clean and pick apart every aspect of this motor. So, but don't know which order I'm gonna do what, don't know how good it's gonna come out, but yeah, so far the only thing I did, but I did it when it was still out on the water, is I removed the air box. There's a couple screws in here, the knob and the choke. You just gotta pull the choke, release it from its little connection spot over there, and then you pull out the whole air box, exposing the carb and whatnot. I want to clean every little aspect of this, but for now, let's put that up there and figure out what we're gonna attack next. I think I should be going out to the car and grabbing all my proper tools and everything. Plus, probably use a bit more light here. But what I'm curious is, this thing when it was running, I know I'll get into that when we get there, but when this thing was running, it was constantly picking up and losing power, like vroom, vroom. And one way we were able to somehow find our way home is if we kept squeezing the new fuel line and ball. So maybe I had an issue with fuel delivery. So right here we have the fuel filter. I'm gonna try to pop that off, and let's take a look and see what we find when we get in there. Alright guys, so I wiped down and put back together this whole fuel filter assembly here. Everything looked really nice and clean inside there. No gunk, no buildup, no anything. I do want to research this screw a bit, because where it screws into inside the body is actually like spring loaded to the what I believe is a diaphragm in there. So I just want to research so I understand that. But it's put back together for now, moved out of the way so I could get in there and do more cleaning and pulling stuff apart. I'm also gonna have to go get some grease and re-grease a lot of moving parts. But what I want to do right now, before I do anything else, is one of the issues we had here is this line broke, which is the water cooling down the engine. So at the end of the season it was just spitting out back. Also we had this gasket was leaking. What I did do is, just for fun, when we were still out on the water, I checked these screws, and every single one of these were stupid loose, like by hand, which would make sense that it's not sealing, but at the same point, what loosened it needs a new gasket either way. So what I'm gonna do is I want to pull this apart and I want to look inside there. Alright guys, so we got the coil off here, the top bolt into the head cover here had the ground for it, so don't forget that. We got all the screws out. I see that there's mounting, it looks like mounting bolts here, so maybe I could pull this whole thing out, which would have made the last step I did a little easier. But we got all the screws out. The bottom ones were a pain in the butt. I guess I could have also went to get my ratchet wrench. It would have been a little easier. But it is what it is. We got it. We're ready to pop this cap off. Haven't looked here before. don't know what I'm about to find, but we do know that this gasket, which actually feels pretty intact, but is going to get replaced anyways. Because, oh, there goes my phone ringing. So let me get this off, clean it off, and I'll check back in a sec. Now that I've pulled that off, a couple things I'm going to say is, now that I could see inside, I could see the pistons in there. I'm going to say this is my exhaust manifold, which somewhere here you have where your water comes out, so cools. But this thing is pretty gunked up and pretty bad. I wish I could like acid wash these things, but we'll see. That gasket's in better condition than I expected it to be because it came out in one piece, but it's gonna need to be changed. And then I'm looking in here, and we are pretty nasty in here. But this, mind you, could be 38 years of wear and tear. I do have some scoring, no cracks though. No cracks anywhere, looks good. But I think I'm gonna keep working my way around now. Let's see, we'll start with pulling the plugs and start pulling this all off the front end here. And let's get this opened up and see what the hell we find in there. Alright guys, so we got all the screws out of it. I did find, or I struggled a bit because I didn't see two hidden down at the bottom there. Not to mention I don't have the proper tools, so I had to MacGyver a way to get them out, but I got it. One of the things I like to do is when I take a certain screw type out of an area, I stick one of them back in, so at least later on in the day or when putting it all back together, I don't have to try to figure out what screw goes where, like I did here. Once I pop this off, I did it up here. Once I pop this off, I'll put one of the main ones. But we moved everything over on this side here, got it out of the way. I'm doing that as much as anything because eventually I'm going to want to get down here and clean all that gunk. But yeah, right now we have a couple turns here, and I believe this whole cover is going to come right off. Yes, it is. And I have not looked in here yet, so this is new for all of us. We'll put that off to the side for now. Let's take a peek. Okay. God. Now, what even happened to the gasket? Was there? Yeah, it's in here. So there's the other gasket. We'll have to figure that out. I want to clean all this. To be honest, that's where the spark plugs stick in. Doesn't seem in all that bad of shape. Just needs a good degreasing and cleaning more than anything. The exhaust manifold here is where it looks the worst. But alright, making progress. Where should I go next? What? Should I start working from the top down? Should I don't know. Don't know where to start. Don't even know how I'm going to put this thing back together at the end, but it is what it is. One of the other things I want to do is I hate painting. I really hate painting. And this motor cover here, as you can see, still has the decal, but it's also painted really shitty over it. Chips, everything. So what I wanted to do is see if I could grind this down, sand it down smooth, because it is pretty much chipped, it's cracked, but that's just for fun. Wanted to sand it down as best I could, try to get it smooth, then go obviously finer and finer sand until I have a pretty flat surface. then try to prep it for paint and paint it and see if I could, anything's better than this. I'll go a little darker anyways. But I started on this side just to see if I'm on the right track. I'm really bumpy here, which isn't good. I probably cut a little too deep with the grinding. But because I still have a couple layers of sanding to go, I'm not going to be too concerned about it. And like I said, anything I do is going to look better than it did. Now, it's getting there. Still have to go a little here, around. I see like some Bondo or something was used here to fix that. But we'll see what happens. For now, that's when I don't feel like thinking about the motor. For now, I'm going to try to figure out where the next section to start pulling apart is and show you guys what I find when I get it apart. So see you in a sec. Alright guys, so what I'm trying to do here is I've popped the top off here, getting right now at the electric starter. And the reason I'm doing this is because I really want to get to the carburetor here, get it off and pull it apart and clean it up, because I think that is 90% of what my issues are. Everything else I've pulled apart, while it needs maintenance, hasn't been that bad. The problem with the carburetor is the nut I need to start pulling this off, there's no way I'm accessing that without the starter and the wheel and everything here gone. So right now I'm trying to figure out is how to get this starter off. I removed 2 bolts so far. The bottom one here has what appears to be another ground wire, and we go from there. Hopefully I figure her out. Alright guys, so we got the screws out. Had to take the shifter here, and it has 2 U-clamps there that hold it in, so little slots, took them off. I put them back so I don't misplace them. That held in there. Then from here I removed a bunch of other ones. This one was interesting. I'm not sure what this one did, but I guess I didn't have to do much. I really don't see where that goes other than in there, but okay. So anyways, we got this off now. Starter is free. Now I could clean all that properly. Now, the reason I wanted to get that off is so I could get in here at these bolts. You got a bolt here. You got a tight ass connection there. But eventually, if I hold my tongue right, you should be able to pop this whole carburetor right off. And that will need a nice clean. Then I figure out what I need all on this side. And I keep going with the tear off. But right now I need to stop and go get a bite to eat. So I will check back in soon. Alright, Mr. Carb, you're next on the list here. What do we need to do? So you're pretty stiff to boot, which tells me, yeah, and you're like sticking. Yeah, you need a nice, good little rebuild here. Alright, and she's out. Dirty as hell, but she's out. Very stiff and sticking, so this in itself is gonna need a full tear down. Right there, add it to the list. Let's look in here. How's everything looking? Fairly clean in there. Don't see much. Alright, making progress. What's next? Started wiping this thing down. Looks like there's some potential. If you put some effort, you could actually get it pretty clean. We'll get there, but right now what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to dismantle this so I can move it. I think it's 2 bolts here. I can move it out of the way, which will allow me access to all of these bolts. And then hopefully I could pop this cap off and have a look. Let's see what happens. Alright, so we got the plate off here. There was nothing left of that gasket, so that's another one I need. Overall, it seems pretty nice and clean and shiny in here. Okay, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this whole front cap off next and inspect. Hopefully all this stuff's not in the way. We got quite a few nuts and quite a few bolts. Let's get at her. Alright guys, where are we here? Got it off. Just needs a bit of a cleaning. This gasket itself is actually not bad compared to some of the other ones. I might be able to get it off in one piece. But yeah, add it to the pile. Then let's see what do we have behind it here. All right. Alright guys, so as you can see, I think I'm wearing different clothes now. So it's not the same day, but I kept working on this thing. I'm starting to clean all these parts right now, get them all nice and shiny. Had to clean the work area, it was driving me nuts. Started cleaning the engine itself, and you know what? Have a lot to do still, but it's actually coming out pretty clean. The reason I've started cleaning is because I'm kind of stuck right now. I can't get that screw off. It's like stripped and stuck, and that's the screw that's holding on the reed valve plate here. And the only reason I want to get that off is because I see that the gasket here is no good. So if I'm going to do this right, I need to change that gasket as well. And once I get that off, that's pretty well it. So I've just been spending some time cleaning it and seeing where it gets. I gotta figure something out. It's only thin aluminum, so I probably can't put too much heat to that. I don't know. We'll figure something out either way. Worst case, I'll have to drill and tap it and everything, but that creates so much work. I'm gonna save that idea for later. But yeah, for now, what I'm gonna do, just so I have something to edit, is we'll make this a part 1, get us up to this point. In between, I'll figure that out and start a part 2, I guess. So take it from there. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this became a video of some sort to fill in these gaps, and we'll see you soon. Peace.